So the forwarder also has the ability to load logs onto it. It's kind of like its own self-sufficient loader plus trailer built into one. So on this machine, it allows you to pile up the wood on the back and then bring it back to the landing. So this kind of takes away the job of a skidder and kind of takes the job away of a loader if you want to use it in that context. See? So now with the forwarder, what you want to do, it's a very slow crawling machine, but that's the purpose. You don't want to be going too fast in these things. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up alongside this. We reach down to the middle of the pile and we grab them. And then we want to load them into the side of our, they're in the back of our machine. So now if these are kind of cockeyed, you can actually like slide them into the front and then turn and then drop them to kind of pile them up. And again, this stuff will take technique and time for getting, really nice loading. But you want to make sure that you're always keeping it and banging it up against this bunk when you go to slide in. And the bunk is this metal grate part that I'm slamming into. Now, as soon as you start moving the forwarder, you need to lock your load, because if you try to move it without, they'll actually start to slide forward. So always make sure you have you hit L between moving. So it's locked, and then when you're ready to start loading, so your machine's fully stopped, then you can unlock the load. If you don't do this, your logs will probably slip off the bunk, and you're going to be one sad forwarder operator, let me tell you. Okay, so here we go. Load these guys in here. And this is a very straightforward machine. You guys will figure it out real quick. It doesn't need a lot of detail to explain how it works, but at least you kind of have an idea. Now, you can build this bunk up as high as you want. You can stack it to the sky, and those locking straps will hold it. It does become a little bit harder to operate once you get it higher up in the air. So, take your time, be careful, have fun with it. Again, just make sure you constantly lock it when you're going back. So now I'm going to pretend like we just filled up the entire trailer. So now we're going to actually walk it back. Now, for the most part, people will bring it to wherever they want their loader. So if our loader was that Delimber part there, we would probably want to unload our logs in a really close area to that machine. So we're going to go in, do a little grab here. And again, like all grapples, if you grip it too hard, it's going to do weird stuff. It'll kind of float around. So don't grip it so hard. Just do a little tiny little bite. Just so you got a good control on it. You don't need to go crazy. And then we're going to drop these guys right here. Just like so. Like all things, it all takes time, practice, but you will get there. Just move nice and slow. Don't rush it. Try to line these up as best you can. Take your time. And put them there. So now what you're doing, essentially, is you're bringing the skidder's job you're eliminating the skidder and the processor's job, because the processor's already out here doing it. So now instead of dragging our logs back like we did in the earlier tutorials and piling them up and then processing them, we're actually live processing them on the go. So then we just go up, collect them, they're ready to go. We pile them all up here. You can build a stack a mile long and then come along with a loader and put them on a truck. So it's a much faster, efficient method, especially if you're playing single player. If you don't have a full team working with you, it's a lot of work to jump from machine to machine. This one really eliminates a lot of those machines because you're skidding, you're processing, you're bunching, you're doing it all in one shot. Tight. Okay, so now that I've knocked down a few trees over there, I want to show you guys the operation and purpose of the delimber, the stroker delimber. So what this machine does is it's very similar to the processor, but just in a little bit of a different method. So the purpose is to cut the trees to length, but it's also meant to remove the limbs off of the trees. Now, this is a two-part machine, so it has a cutter here on the back, and it has a position for a cutter on the front. Now, you need to attach the front saw in order to get the top saw working. So you can buy the top saw, and it falls on the ground, looks just like this guy here. Now, what you want to do is you can actually walk over and pick this thing up. It's super light, and you want to line it up just in front of your machine. So that green dot, if I can make it not dance around here, there we go. So that green dot is facing your machine. And then what you want to do is get in the machine, lower the boom so that it's lined up with, oops, I'm forward here, lined up kind of with that head like this. So that as long as that green dot is facing the front of that head, you're good to go. Hit Q to connect it, and you now have that cut saw on the end. As you can see, I'm kind of lowering it there. Now that saw is attached to the end. Okay? So on this machine, you have a few different things going on. So you have this dial here on the right-hand side, which is kind of over here. that tells you how far your boom's out. So if you bring your boom all the way back and you're kind of sitting out here, it has the ability to kind of stroke back and forth. Now, if you bring your boom all the way back, that's kind of ground zero for that gauge. As you push it out, you'll start to see the different lengths that it'll hit. Now, those little red dots are the different lengths that you can cut to. So obviously, the front one is your 0 point, which is like as close as you can bring the boom. The second one is a super, super short log if you're cutting really tiny stuff. Those don't necessarily fit on the trailers super well, so I just reserve that for people who want to do firewood or, you know, do their own projects. This second or the third dot here, where the forks are lined up, that's about a 5.6-ish sized log for cutting. If you go a little bit further, that's about a medium, maybe around a 9 or 8.5, 9, somewhere around there. And then if you go the full length that boom will stretch out, the furthest range, that's about a 10, maybe 10.5 size log for doing longer / medium trailers. So what we're going to do is the first thing you want to do is when you get in this machine is zero out your boom. So bring it all the way back so you're at 0 on your gauge. You also want to hit B as in Bravo. This will turn on the head that we attached on the tip. And then if you hit G, that will turn on the harvester head. And as you turn on the harvester head, you'll see these claws kind of open up, and that's how you know you're ready to cut. All right. Now we're going to walk over to this beautiful little pile that we made, and I'll show you how this bad boy works. It's actually kind of an interesting style of processor compared to the other one, but it does the same type of job. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bring this to 0. We're going to find our pile. Here we go. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go in. I want to make sure the saw is on. The saw is on. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go into this pile, grab your first tree. Now you want to squeeze it, not to the point where it's like shaking or glitching out, because you can really crush a tree in there if you want. Just bring it to the point where you got a good grip on it. And then you want to slide it back so that it's lined up with these other yellow claws in this little saw, basically. So then what will happen is when you do your first cut, all you have to do is hit is X. It'll cut a chunk out of that saw. Then what you do is you use your other stick to slide out and find the length you want. So I want this to be kind of, actually we'll do kind of like a medium size, like around there. Then what you want to do is you want to grip up, I'll zoom out here so you can see. So once you get it out there, I usually recommend keeping it kind of open while you're sliding, and then once you get to the part where you're ready to cut, you want to grip up on that log about, is not super tight, but enough to keep it so it's at the top. And then as you drop that top saw, it'll actually chop off that piece of wood. Now again, you manually control this top saw, so make sure you put it right back up again. That way, now all you got to do is kind of open your claw a little bit, slide your head back, and then you can kind of grip it in the middle, and you can put it over here. Again, this is just a whole different version of the processor itself. I'm actually going to reach over and grab this little piece that we cut, bring it back, because we can still probably get another chunk out of that. Cut it, grip it, and this again will just take time and effort for you guys to figure out the controls and get comfortable with it. But it works very efficiently for cutting wood, moving wood, piling wood, all that fun stuff. And again, I'm not going to say it's more or less efficient than using the Wartaw processor heads, because everybody's different on the way they do stuff, and some people are way faster at using this stuff than others. Whoops, and see, I grabbed it too hard. So you want to make sure you just kind of lightly grab it, get in place, and then run it to, where are we cutting? Right about there. Grip it up. There we go. Oops, and that one kind of popped out because I grabbed it weird there. But again, it takes time and patience, and you'll kind of find a good process that works for you for grabbing and picking up the pieces. And you'll make lots of mistakes like I just did. And that's the best part. You're going to make so many mistakes, and you're going to do things so wrong, and then you'll learn. It all takes time, but you'll get there. Okay, we're going to grip this up, and I'm just going to do this last one. That'll be good enough just to kind of show how it works. And you can do whatever length you want. You can do longer ones, shorter ones, your own custom sizes, whatever you want. But it's basically just another way to cut the wood, process the wood, and leave it in piles so that it's ready to be processed. It also removes all the all the limbs on the first cut, so it's a pretty fast way to delimb a tree if that's what you're looking to do.